Okay, welcome back everyone. We are doing another Kdenlive tutorial today for some quick editing tips, and if you didn't notice, I got a webcam, so we're going to have video in here. I'll see how this goes, see if I like it, see if I think it makes things better, or if I'm just more awkward, then I don't know, I might pull it out. The thing I want to go over today is kind of like how to zoom and pan. It's one of the effects I did on my last video, just to kind of zoom in on areas of the screen that I wanted to focus on, things that I was talking about. I usually just move my little cursor like this to try and draw attention to it, but being able to zoom in on that exact area for a part of the clip is what I wanted to do to emphasize that. So I, again, watched some YouTube tutorials, and seemingly everybody does it, or not everybody, but you know, the people I looked at do it by just doing a transform and kind of manually moving the screen in. So I'll show you how I did that and why I did it, because there is an actual effect that's just called zoom pan, and I'll kind of show you why that didn't work as well for me. So we're back here to our transform in the main video. And let's see, let's go to, I think this one is going to be a zoom pan. Let's just play it really quick and see. Yep, there we go. So this is a zoom pan. This is the first one. Starts at this keyframe. And, okay, so this is the thing that's kind of a pain in the butt with these, and why it seems like there might be a better way to do it. So this is the start of the section that I want to zoom in on, but only kind of, because you'll see that, let me zoom in on this keyframe timeline. How do I do that again? Drag this. Yeah, can make this timeline massive. Okay, so you can see that there are these two keyframes right next to each other, and that's kind of how I forced it to work for me. So this first keyframe is just original settings, exactly how you had the video before, and then what I did was I set that keyframe where I wanted to zoom, and then I just played it for like less than a second or so, set another keyframe. Oops, I don't think that's right. I think we skipped all through the video. Yeah, let's get back to our spot. I do not know what I'm doing. There we go. Okay. So this is the start one that's just pretty standard. Pause it a second, go to the next one, and then this is where you actually apply your transformations, which basically just ends up being you change the X and Y values to where you want it. And I just did it by dragging and then adjusting manually with the arrows, and then the size. The size is the big one. That's what makes it different. So if you put this down to 100, you can kind of see how that goes back to being normal. But if we put it to 200, which is what it was at, boom, it's bigger. And then these X and Y values are what move it. So this is how you can do fine adjustments with the arrows. And then kind of back to why they're a second apart, has to do with that whole transition thing. So this second keyframe is where I actually want it to happen. But if I just create this keyframe right here so like what I'll actually do is I'll delete this keyframe. Well, I won't, because it might be complicated to get it back in. But basically what happens is if you put this keyframe with the zoom that you want, then it does that annoying thing where it tries to zoom in over this entire space of the keyframe. So the second the video starts, it'll just start slowly panning and zooming for whatever this is, like a minute and a half. So it'll just slowly pan for a minute and a half. So I just have this little dummy keyframe at the minute and a half where I want to start zooming, wait a second, and then add the keyframe of what I actually want it to do. And so I don't have a good system for that yet. I guess if I had to give you a suggestion, I'd just say like make it a second or less. But basically that second is a representation of how fast it's going to zoom and pan to that area. And so if you want it to be really, really snappy, just like play, pause, and then add it in. I just went with around a second or so, just basically play it a little bit, stop it, so that it was kind of smooth. But yeah, every single keyframe in here that you see, I believe, is that pan and zoom thing. So let's just look at this one real quick, starting with the very first zoom that I do. So I'll go full screen so you can kind of see what it looks like. Oh geez, how do I play from here? Okay. But I saw the logo up here, so, and it kind of with these plates of food. Hopefully that was. Let's go back a little bit. Go back here, play it and zoom in. There you go. There's your whole effect. Saw the logo up here, and it kind of. So that's basically all I wanted to go over was that transition. I did it a bunch in here to zoom in on certain things. And hopefully it worked. I think it worked kind of well. Here's another one. Zooming in on the search bar up here. Yeah, and then the other part too I didn't go over is when you want to zoom back out, you do the same thing, but in reverse. So if we go to this keyframe, you'll see that this one has the zoom all the way up. And then the next keyframe, so this is the dummy keyframe. The first keyframe is always the dummy one. And then the second one is returning it to 100%. And the easiest way to do this when you're zooming back out is, because you don't have to memorize anything. You're just going back to original values. So like these ones you do kind of want to copy from the previous keyframe. But your second one of zooming back out, all you have to do is just go X0, Y0, and then size 100%. And then that just, assuming you haven't messed with anything, that just centers everything and puts it back to original. And then you don't have to mess with width or height at all. Okay, I'm just gonna jump cut this in. I realized after I got done that I didn't do any like full demonstration from scratch, so that's what I'm gonna do real quick. We're just gonna do it on these little dummy clips, these countdown timers. And so we're just gonna pretend like we wanna zoom in to a certain area just to kind of emphasize it. So first thing I'm going to do is just grab one of these and insert an effect. I think I actually said it was a transform and composition, but it's actually just transform. And I just had to deal with this because I forgot that that's what it was. And so what we're going to do is, can I drag this across all of them? Don't know that it'll actually let me do that. That's one of the things with transform is that I think it is only to the clip. So that's fine. This is 5 seconds. That's plenty of time to do it. But let's just kind of play this, and let's say we want to zoom in here. Okay, right before the 3 ends. So what I'm going to do is, this is where we want to start zooming, so I'm just going to add my dummy keyframe. So this is my dummy keyframe, and then I'm going to play it for a little bit and we'll zoom in. So we're at 9:58:23, so let's just, yeah, that's probably good. 9:59, so like 0.7. And actually I'm going to back it back a little bit. Let's do like there. And we add another keyframe. This is our actual zoom and pan keyframe now. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to first set the size to about 170. That's what I did on a lot of them. You can see it get bigger up there at the top. And then you can kind of just drag it to where you want it to zoom to. Let's go to these white lines. Let's zoom in on these white lines. And then in here you can go and kind of, so one of the things I'm noticing is that we're out of frame. We ran out of room, so that edge is black, so I'm just going to scoot it back in to where everything still has video content on it. Just with these arrows, I'm just hitting up right now just to manually increase the values. Okay, that looks good. And then Y looks pretty good. I'm going to go down a little bit. I'm pressing down right now. There we go. That looks kind of center. Well, there we go. Okay. And now that should be it just for the zoom in. Let's take a look at it. Right up here. Boom, there you go. And one of the things you can do, I didn't notice a big difference with the pan and zoom effects that I'm creating, but one of the things you can do is you can go in here and you can change this keyframe interpolation from linear to smooth. And that makes it kind of more, So linear is just fixed speed in and out, whatever you're doing. Smooth kind of, I think, kind of like ramps up. It does make it look smoother. So, I mean, we can play something simple like this. You might not even be able to tell the difference on though. So let's just try this. Yeah, I don't know if you could tell. It kind of starts slow and then goes a little faster and then slows down. For a like half a second transition, it's almost, I don't even know that it's worth doing. But I did use smooth on just about all of mine. And then the other thing I'm going to do real quick in this same one is I'm going to zoom back out. So I'm just going to, basically as soon as it zooms in, we're going to zoom out. Go right here, add a keyframe, and then in doing that right after, basically that being the next keyframe from this one being selected, it did copy over all my values. So this dummy one is set up and we don't need to do anything. We're at 9:59:29. I'm going to play this again a little bit. There we go. I'll just set it right here. Add keyframe. So this first one's our dummy one, and I'm going to move this one in a little bit just to kind of make it look a little more uniform. And then this is the one where we're zooming back out. So this is the easy one. You don't need to think about anything. You don't need to drag anything. This just goes to 0. This just goes to 0. Whoops. Listen to me. Oh, that's enter, not 0. Okay. 0. And then 100% size. Oh, I guess we should have done that first because these values got changed again. 0, okay. 0, 0, 100, that should put us back to normal. So that should be our end zoom out frame now. Let's watch the entire sequence now. Let me zoom in. Zoom in, zoom out. Simple as that. That's the entire workflow of how to do it from start to finish. All right, back to whatever else I was talking about. See, if you guys know of a better way to do zoom in pan other than just using this generic transition, please let me know because yeah, it is kind of a pain when you have to do those dummy keyframes for every time you want to do it. And then real quickly, I'm just going to show you, this is not part of the project that got exported. This is just a quick little sample I set up to show you kind of why I didn't use the pan and zoom effect that's built in. So it's called zoom pan, and it gives you these options of X, Y, which is very similar to what you do before, and then the zoom factor. This is in like the ratio. So 1.6 would be 167%. And I'll just kind of show you why I didn't use it. Well, first of all, as far as I can tell, you can only apply it to an entire clip. So you can't create keyframes within this. This is just, you apply it to an entire clip. And so when I did that to the, this main big video file that actually did get split up into 2, I think it was just 2. If I wanted to pan and zoom on one of these keyframes, then basically you have to splice that clip at that exact moment that you want to pan and zoom, and then apply the effect there. And then on top of that, it kind of just, there's no transition, it just immediately goes to what your value is. So I'll just show you on this countdown timer. So the first part, they're both 5 seconds. The first part is unaltered, and then the second one has the pan and zoom, which is these values, 1.67. So let's just play it and you can see kind of how that works, or how that looks, I guess. Boom. So like I said, there's no transition where it fades in or moves in and moves out. And so it just, you go from full screen to immediately where it's at. So I just thought it looked bad, and without having the keyframe functionality, it just wasn't usable because I was slicing these clips up. And then, you know, every time you do that, it's just more work and more trying to get the timing right. So I did it this way. If there's a better way, let me know. Okay, I think that's everything I'm gonna go over in this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys later. Brilliant.